This is the Parent Portal Show.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit mikehammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Coach, so, as a parent, there's a lot of challenges watching a game and watching your kid play and knowing that there's some athletic performance going on the field, but there's other dynamics to success, whether it be on or off the field. And I think part of my challenge and just getting some of your thoughts around how a parent can help their athlete think through what they're doing, because kids don't always do everything right on the field, and they have challenges on, just their own performance. And there's a lot of things going on, and games get lost, no doubt about it. Found myself in a position where, I'm sitting there trying to give advice and trying to encourage and, make sure that my athlete understands that he played well, and here are some things that he can think about. And then at some point in time, it just becomes blah, 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 right? Because it's dad speak, or mom speak, parents speak, and you don't always know. You're not always on the field, and you don't know the things, the dynamics are going on within the team. But it's concerning sometimes to watch an athlete feel down about their own performance, and how do you lift them up? And I'd love to get your kind of thoughts on what advice you'd have to offer for a parent who just wants to fix things, jump in the middle of it and say, all right, I'm going to fix this and make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing from a coach's side. I have always thought as a parent, my biggest job is to just love my kids, right? And that doesn't change with this, even though this is my world of coaching, and it's something that is probably amplified, and needed more when our kids are performing, whether it's sports or whatever it is. And as parents, we all are, our biggest, our kids' biggest cheerleaders. We want them to succeed, whether it's 1 second or 100 seconds or 100 minutes. We want them all to succeed. And the thing that I always have appreciated is the parent that is maybe not coaching, but is doing a really good job of leading their kids. And that comes from that place of like, hey, what did coach say? What kind of feedback did coach give you or the team afterwards? And then taking those words, because that's what the coach is identifying, whether it's good or bad, that's what your coaches are identifying. And you want to know that as a player and as a parent, so that, you can be able to help with those words. And by helping, it's like you want to support that. And I strongly believe that athletes need to go to their coaches, before, after practice, and say, hey, what is it that you need me to do better?
Yeah.
And maybe it's tackling, and it's like, okay, and then check in with them. It may just be a simple question like, hey, what did you think about my tackling today? Because then you're giving the coach the opportunity to teach and to give honest feedback. And so that the ultimate goal is that the kid gets better, You want the kid to get better. If you're a coach, if you're a parent, you want the kid to get better. And too many times, as a parent, I've been guilty of just being frustrated, and my frustration carries over to my kid, and then my kid doesn't understand it as well as I do, that it's just frustration, and they're looking at their performance, from a standpoint of like, I'm disappointing this person. And it's like, no, you're not disappointing me. It's just like, I know what your potential is.
Yeah.
I think that as parents, it's a fine line. You want to, the coaches are coaching for a reason, because that's their job. It's not my job. Uh, but as a coach, you want to be able to work in concert with parents to be able to get the most from the kids.
Yeah, I think part of what you're saying there, and what I've seen is there is such value to have an external voice that oftentimes kind of reinforces that bond or that belief. I've had certainly there are parents that walk up and give praise, but reinforce. Hey, you did a great job tonight. Hey, you got 7 tackles, or hey, you gained a lot of yards on the ground tonight. And that bond or that commitment that for an adult to praise a kid that's not their dad is certainly of value. And I've certainly considered that there's value of that attitude of support for the team, obviously, and there is a little bit of effort to just kind of lift the team up as you go. The other thing, though, I think that's extremely valuable and that I've seen happen is the impact of older boys on younger boys, or even just team members. Back in Odessa, Texas, and we played Odessa Permian. We were never the biggest team on the field. We were never the most talented team. We were a lot of times we were we were the underdog for a good reason. But we believed in it. We believed in the system and the process and the extra hours and the conditioning and the work that we went through. And that kind of formed a little bit of that mojo magic, and you talk about games back when I played ball with Odessa Permian. There were a lot of times that we came from behind and won the game, or had enough of that extra push to win the game, and a little bit of it was due to the conditioning. You had the ability to play that fourth quarter to your highest level, and it made a difference.
Wow. Well, we're not all as fortunate to be able to have played for Mojo, but I can tell you the one thing that you did say a lot was the word team.
Yeah,
And a team is composed of your smartest, most savvy veteran to your most inexperienced, learning, emerging type athlete. And
yeah,
when you can get that all working and moving in the same place and direction,
yeah,
you've got something pretty magical, right? And so how does that happen? And that's a lot of kids have never been exposed to that. They don't know how that works or how that looks. And it's that veteran that needs maybe a wide receiver that is tall and lanky and fast, and they may be a sophomore, and the senior needs them to be able to have a great team, and
yeah,
that sophomore goes out and just does everything he can to be able to be included with the team, and not
yeah,
necessarily looking at it as like he's trying to make numbers for himself or anything else like that. And it's those veterans realizing, hey, we need this kid. We can't be so big and great and mighty that we don't realize that they're part of this team, and we need to bring them along with us to get something magical happening. That doesn't always happen with teams.
yeah.
It's and when
Well,
you find that,
honestly, I think it's
and when
contrary. I think a lot of teams don't have that bond, and they don't. They're
yeah,
competitive against each other on the field because they're all trying to get their position figured out, their place on the team figured out. And it's rare that you have a team that bonds and has that team spirit and that attitude that, hey, I've got your back, and there are kids who
Yeah.
give more as bench players that come in and maybe just play on specialty teams, but they've got big hearts, and to your point, the older kids, the seniors that are looking down and talking to some of these freshmen and sophomores coming up, their ability to, to encourage is huge. And I've seen that through Boy Scouts. I've seen older kids in our Boy Scout troop really make an impact on the kid. And it's amazing what a kid could do in just a little bit of encouragement, and even team members encouraging each other.
I have a great story that I tell, and you're familiar with Michael Phelps, correct?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
So I believe it was the 2012 Olympic Games, and he was just swimming every single event. Oh my gosh, all the individual medleys, and then he was on all the team swims. And one of the things that was pretty unique is that when they went to get their gold medals for the team event. Now, most team sprints, 4x100, it's a 4-person race, 4-person leg race. And on the medal stand, there were 6 people. And the story is, and I see you're kind of confused as well.
What's that?
Why are there
2
why
people
are there
swimming
6
submerged?
Yeah. So what happened is, in those team events, Michael couldn't swim all of the team events because he had the individual medleys. He could not do that. So other athletes stepped up and said, I got you. Wow. And so when it came to the gold medal race, he was able to swim that 4x100.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, they set a world record and they win a gold medal, not for just that race, but for that team that was doing that. Wow. So 6 swimmers got up and swam and got gold medals. And it's powerful because there is no way he would have been able to be the athlete that he was in the gold medal medley. But because he was part of a bigger team, he was able to get something pretty special. And that, to your point, whether you're on special teams, whether you're getting just a quarter, or maybe you're getting, half of a quarter, that's your chance by being part of a team to make something special happen. Because if you're a sophomore and you're on varsity, holy moly, that doesn't happen. Yeah. And the fact that 2 years from now, you're going to be that senior that we're going to be leaning on.
Yeah.
Is people can't always see that, but it's on every single team. And that's what's special about team work. It's work for a reason. I mean, so much about what we talk about happens off the field. It is about culture. That's where the magic comes from. When you know that you can trust someone and they can help you and grow and gain confidence and consistency, that's what culture really does for teams. And it creates that belief that we can do anything that we want to do together as a team.
That locker room environment, I get it. And that's that we're kind of talking about it a little bit, but I love your assessment of that, 9th grade, sophomore, junior, seniors working together, and how short-sighted we get sometimes on how we're just looking at that year, that grade level, right? And that experience. Talk about those life lessons a little bit, Coach.
Yeah, I'm going to move my big head out of the way. I'm going to move my big head out of the way here for a second. There's a word that's on my wall. It's called passion. And that's where a lot of all this starts, is just kids that are they just love the game for the love of the game. You hear it talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And when passion is out there, it's one of those things as a coach you can't teach. You either want to be there or you don't. It's what you're doing when nobody's watching. Are you out shooting baskets in the driveway? Are you out running when nobody's watching? And those things make such a difference, because that's where you start building towards performance.
Yeah.
And and that's, as a coach, these our kids today, they don't and just speak to my own kid. They're in a school where there's 1,400 kids in a middle school.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
And and then it's like you're asking our coaches, okay, coach them up, coach. Wow. Yeah. Well, some of our kids know everything there is about the sport, and some of them can't find their way to the field. But we, as coaches, are going to do our best to get the most from the first or the last.
Yeah.
And, as a coach, we're in that moment of like saying, okay, how can I get this from this player and that player and get them to work together effectively?
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, you have 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And then, the expectation is we want to win. And I think that's something that, as parents, we only see our kids when they come home. We only see our kids when they perform. We don't see all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And that part of like our kids' life that, we talked about the 3D chess and how you have to see a bigger picture. That's it. Like, we don't know that our sophomore kid doesn't fit in with varsity, because the varsity athletes, are just looking at the sophomore as, a young kid and not as a player on a team. And that is a challenge. That's a challenge as coaches, that we've got to develop that culture where everybody is contributing to the team.
Yeah. Great thoughts, Coach.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit MikeHammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the Parent Portal Show.